tonight on Size Eyes on the Skies.
It has been a destructive day across portions of Middle Tennessee. Coming up, I'll talk about your national forecast and do a recap of all the tornadic activity.
Thank you, Trey. Plus, I will have your Iowa forecast today. All that and more on this Tuesday, March 3rd edition of Size Eyes on the Skies starts now.
Live from Studio 171 in Ames, Iowa, the Iowa State Meteorology Department team of meteorologists brings you the latest weather from around the country and out your front door. Iowa State's longest-running television program and the only live weather broadcast on campus starts right now. This is Size Eyes on the Skies.
Since you're doing that, yeah.
Welcome back to Size Eyes. I'm now joined by Trey. So Trey, how's it feeling out today?
It felt pretty good, getting closer to spring, and things are slowly moving in the right direction if you like spring.
Yeah, I definitely do like that warm weather. I definitely took advantage of that this weekend with those warm temperatures. I'll talk a little bit about that in mine. My forecast coming up, as you guys can see on the screen, we have some rain possible tonight, just a little bit of showers, but we most likely won't see it in Ames. I'll cover that a little bit later. Sunny this week and upper 60s coming in on this weekend, which is very out of place for March, but I have no complaints. A little bit more about that later. Looking at today's highs, we see 53 degrees here in Ames, so it's feeling real nice as we walked around campus today. 56 there in Des Moines as you move a little bit more south, and a little chillier up in the north with about 43 degrees in Mason City. I'll have more about that in my full forecast later in the show. And now it's time for tonight's weather story. Multiple tornadoes caused major damage last night in central Tennessee, including the Nashville metro area. One of the tornadoes passed just in the north of the downtown area and destroyed homes, buildings, and knocked out power for over 50,000 people. At least 25 people have died during the overnight tornado event. The National Weather Service in Nashville has confirmed the number of tornadoes yet, but one survey teams have rated the North Nashville tornado as an EF2 and the Donaldson Mount Juliet tornadoes as EF3s. All of these tornadoes struck the city around 12:30 a.m. this morning while people were sleeping. More details will become available over the next few days. And now here's Trey looking at what's going on around the country.
Well, Jackson, as we alluded to earlier, it has been a very active last 24 hours across portions of the southeast. Let's take a look at temperatures right now across the nation. You can see pretty chilly up to the north, but fairly warm and mild down to the south along the Gulf Coast. And that warm, mild air is really what we're really been feeling those strong to severe storms. Coming up, I'll talk more about last night's tornadoes and then go into more detail on additional rain and storm chances this week right after this.
Welcome back, folks. Now let's take it to Trey with a look at what's going on around the nation.
We're going to start out with a look at our headlines for this evening. Rain is possible tonight across portions of the country. We've had rain going on down across the south. I'll show you where all that rain will be coming in a minute. And then also sunshine will return for the latter part of this week, and especially as we head into this weekend. And then upper 60s are possible this weekend, especially across parts of the Midwest where it has been chilly, and some of these locations will be seeing their first 60-degree readings of the season. I'll talk all about that here in just a moment. Let's take a look now at the tornadoes across Middle Tennessee, and these are just some of the updated information that we have here as of 5 o'clock. So there were 8 tornado reports so far from Monday into Tuesday morning. At least 4 tornadoes that we know of so far in Middle Tennessee. Again, those storm surveys are ongoing right now, and additional information will be released. The timing from this, we really saw the activity really get going around 11 p.m. last night, and that carried on into 3 a.m. this morning. So just really some of the worst timing you could have while people are asleep. There have been 25 deaths so far, and this is really the sad part here. 25 deaths, with a majority of those in the town of Cookeville, Tennessee, east of Nashville. Also, as Jackson alluded to earlier in the weather story, the metro Nashville area really took a beating from this morning's tornado. So you can see the tornado reports that we have here Activity began yesterday evening across Missouri, and then storms really got going across northern Tennessee as they moved east into the Nashville area. We had one deadly tornado. This is in Benton County, Tennessee, and then the Nashville area tornadoes, at least in EF2 with the tornado just north of downtown, and then that tornado strengthened as it moved to the east across Mount Juliet and Lebanon. Those are cities just to the east of Nashville. And then the most devastating tornado of this event occurred in Cookeville, Tennessee. The rating has not been released yet on that, but there have been 19 fatalities with that tornado. So let's take a look at the national watches and warnings right now. No tornado alerts in effect tonight, but we do have flooding advisories going on across much of the South. You can see the counties or the areas shaded here in bright green. Those are river flood warnings. But this vast expanse here of dark green stretching from Atlanta back toward Birmingham and Jackson down to the Gulf Coast, those are areas under a flash flood watch, and you'll see why here in just a moment when I show you the national futurecast. Some of these areas are going to get in on a lot of rain. Here's a look at temperatures right now across the nation. You can see generally a mild air mass here from the central plains down to the Gulf Coast and then down to the southeast, and that mild air is really what's been fueling those strong to severe storms. We've had an active pattern, especially across parts of the South. You can see up to the north, that's where some of the cooler air is hanging around up across the upper Midwest through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. But in general here, not really seeing any Arctic air masses across the national U.S. So let's take a look at this national satellite and radar picture this evening. You can see this front here. This is the one that produced all of that severe weather last night. It is currently moving off the East Coast this evening, and you can see a stabler, cooler air mass filtering in behind that. High pressure out here keeping much of the western U.S. dry, but this is going to be our system down here that we're going to have to watch for tomorrow. That's going to move east out of Mexico into southern Texas and to produce additional chances for showers and thunderstorms as we head into the overnight hours and then through the day on Wednesday. So here's a look at that severe weather outlook for tomorrow. Again, along the Gulf Coast, really along and south of I-20 and then the I-10 corridor stretching from east and central Texas all the way east through Alabama and Georgia. Slight risk for severe storms, large hail, and a few more additional tornadoes are certainly possible as we head into the day tomorrow. Let's take a look now at the national futurecast. Watch what happens here with this system. You can see this upper level low is going to move east out of northern Mexico into Texas overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. Heavy rain waking up in Dallas down to San Antonio. We could see a few severe storms in this area as well. You can see that rain spreading east through much of the deep south. That's why those flash flood watches are in effect, as some of that rain could be very heavy. Meanwhile, pretty dry conditions across much of the Midwest and then into the Northeast, maybe a little bit of lake effect snow. And then as we head through the day tomorrow and into the afternoon and evening hours, that rain is just continuing down to the south. And so those multiple rounds of heavy rain will lead to flooding. That's why that flood watch is in effect, and you can see the system slowly begins to push on out of here, and then we begin to see a much calmer picture, a calmer pattern as high pressure filters in behind that system. And then you can see additional snow chances up around the Great Lakes, but most of the northern U.S. over the next couple of days looks pretty good. Here's a look at the upper atmosphere. Over the next couple of days, there's that upper level low that will be moving east through Texas, providing all the lift necessary for storms. You can see your cooler temperatures are going to be hanging up here right around this upper level trough, but generally a zonal flow here across the Rocky Mountains. And you can see as we step through time here, that system continues to move off towards the east on Thursday, but notice here this ridge beginning to build in, and you're going to notice that especially as we head into this weekend. That will finally bring an end to all this stormy weather for at least the short term, and we'll see some much better weather. Here's a look at my select city forecast. This is for Casper, Wyoming. Over the next several days, you can see dry conditions will be the main theme there, with temperatures in the 40s, warming up a little bit this weekend and then falling back into the 40s or lower 40s as we head into next week.
Thank you, Trey. Now let's look at tonight's trivia question. All right. Which state has the most tornadoes each year? Is it A, Texas, B, Oklahoma, C, Kansas, or D, Nebraska? We'll have that answer for you coming right up after Iowa weather. Now let's take a look at what's going on in Iowa. As you guys are probably aware, walking around today, we have some nice temperatures. I mean, not too bad temperatures right now, about 35 degrees, so it has cooled down as the night has set in, but these temperatures are going to stay real nice and warm throughout the week. I'll have a little bit more about that coming up. Welcome back to Size Eyes. Now let's take a look at kind of the beginning of March this year. It's been a little bit warmer. You see the high temperature we saw on March 5th was 57 degrees. That is a whole 16 degrees higher than the average temperature that we normally see. Today's high is seeing 53 degrees, real close to that Sunday temperature, and those temperatures are going to really remain in the 50s throughout this week. Taking a look at temperatures right now, a little bit cooler, 35 degrees. It has cooled off, and we're going to have a little bit of air coming in from the west, bringing a little bit of rain. I'll kind of show you that as we move on. The wind speeds, you can see those westerly winds kind of moving in 6 mile an hour here in Ames, 10 mile an hour as you move a little bit more south in Des Moines, and that's going to bring this very light system moving through, which might bring us a little bit of precipitation. Taking a look at satellite radar, you can see this this kind of weak system over here bringing some of this snow over into the Nebraska and Dakota area, and that's just going to bring a little bit of precipitation into the state. Taking a look at our high-res futurecast, you can see here tonight at 11:30, this is when we have some slight chances of precipitation tonight, maybe just a few inches of rain. Not too much to be worried about. This might not even hit here. But the one thing that we probably will see is about an inch of snow hitting up here in the north of Iowa coming in with this system as it moves along. As you can see, as that moves along, we really clear out. Really nothing propagating over the state for the rest of the week. Really nice and clear conditions. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Current conditions in Ames, only seeing 35 degrees here with winds only from the south-southwest of 5 miles an hour. So real not too strong, keeping temperatures nice and warm, especially in comparison to our average temperature around this time. Only feels like 31 degrees, so it's nice for a brisk walk around campus if you're going out there tonight. Looking at tonight's forecast, sorry about that, we see only 30 degrees here, so a little bit cooler than now, but nothing too terrible. I mean, maybe throw on a light jacket and you'll be fine as you walk around. North winds of 5 to 10 miles an hour will be moving in as we see that, cooling things down quite a little bit, but not to anything to really worry about. Looking at tomorrow, we see that temperature rise back up into 51. Southwest winds of about 9 miles an hour. And you see those just some light clouds moving in throughout the state, but mainly sunny for tomorrow's weather. Looking at our extended forecast, we see tomorrow we have 51 degrees as a high, 38 as a low. Moving into 49 on Thursday, really hanging around those 50 degrees until we shoot back up on Saturday, 66 degrees, and a whopping 68 degrees on Sunday, keeping things real nice and warm. So you want to take, if you like the warm weather, make sure you take advantage of that before a rain system comes and moves in on Monday, 53 degrees there, and 47 on Tuesday, kind of cooling things off a little bit. Now let's take a look at tonight's trivia question again. What state has the most tornadoes?
Wow, that's a good question there. I think a lot of it's going to have to deal with landmass, so I'm going to go with Texas.
You go with Texas, okay. I actually do know this question, the answer to this question, just because I feel like I've heard it around before. I wasn't the one to create the question tonight, but I believe it is Oklahoma, just because I've heard so many of those Oklahoma storms move through. And taking a look at that, it was Texas. Okay, so I was thinking maybe it is due to that landmass. I think Oklahoma has a higher percentage per land capita, but Texas might have quite a bit more just because it has so much more room for them to happen.
Yeah, I think it's mainly the landmass, but yeah, you're definitely right on the per capita. There's definitely a higher number per square mile for sure in Oklahoma. Absolutely.
That might have been where my confusion came in. Sorry, not perfect every day. Anyways, that concludes tonight's show. Please be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can find every show on our YouTube under Size Eyes channel. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on Thursday.